Thank you. What have I discovered? I've discovered that life is filled with obstacles. Some be the size of anthills that we walk over every day and have no idea we overcame them. Some the size of Mount Everest and seem so daunting that we don't think we can overcome them. It's inevitable. We're always going to face them. But it's how you approach these obstacles in life that determines your character. It determines who you are, and it determines your happiness. Just over 3 years ago, during my sophomore year here at San Diego State, I remember walking around on campus, and I had to squint to read a sign. That was alarming for me because I had 20/20 vision my whole life. I called my mom. I said, "Mom, I think I need to see an optometrist." She set up the optometrist appointment, and the day before Thanksgiving 2008, I went and saw that optometrist. He was running the everyday normal tests, and everything was going fine until he had me cover my left eye. Covered my left eye, and at that point, I couldn't see the eye chart at all. I couldn't even read the big E. I remember thinking, I might need some Steve Urkel-sized glasses. Okay, sure, but let me just get back to school. The optometrist said, "Jeremy, I'm going to need to call your parents in, and I'm going to run some more tests on you." After running the tests and coming back in, he said, "Jeremy, I think you have one of two things. I think you have either a pituitary adenoma," which to this day I have no idea what that is, "or I think you have a brain tumor." So Thanksgiving 2008, I got an MRI done early in the morning to test for a brain tumor. Thankfully, I found out I did not have a brain tumor. Over the next 2 months, my vision was rapidly deteriorating. I was misdiagnosed with multiple diseases along with the other two there. I ended up having a catheter in my hand for 5 days. I got a spinal tap done. And I had a catheter in my jugular for 10 days, where I would lay in a hospital bed and do something called plasmapheresis. And all of these were to no avail for diseases they thought I had. After those 2 months, I was finally diagnosed, and my vision had spread from just being bad in one eye to both eyes. And after the 2 months, I was finally diagnosed with a rare hereditary disease called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, or LHON. In 2 months, my sight went from 20/20 to where it is now today. I'm currently legally blind with no central vision. So if you could, for me, put your hand right in front of your face like that and look directly at it and look around a little bit. See what it's like in my shoes. But don't cheat. Look directly at your hand. See what it's like. No central vision. I mean, look at the sign back there. Can you even see it? I mean, the videos are great, listening to them and all, but I don't know how they look. So that's my life. I say I'm no longer able to read, no longer able to drive. I'm no longer able to distinguish faces now that I've lost my sight. Unfortunately, LHON currently has no treatment and no cure. I was devastated, depressed. I thought, why me every single day for a month? What did I do to deserve this? I remember thinking back on the first 19 years of my life and thinking, what did I do wrong to have this trauma happen to me? I complained, I was sulking, I was at my parents' house just being so bitter about my situation, and I thought rightfully so. There was one point when I was at my parents' house, my dad came to me, and I had been sleeping in until noon, 1 in the afternoon at this time. And my dad came down to me one day, he said, "Jeremy, why are you sleeping in so late? Let's wake you up early, let's get your day started, let's go, let's be active." And I said, "Dad, honestly, when I'm sleeping, in my dreams, I see 20/20. When I wake up, I'm legally blind. Where would you rather be?" It was tough, and I think he understood when I said that. But I still, to this day, see 20/20 in my dreams, and it was a harsh reality at that time to wake up still being legally blind. I also didn't know anyone in my life who was blind or legally blind. I didn't know how to live a normal life. Let me quickly ask the audience, how many of you know someone who's legally blind or blind right now? I don't see any hands, so there aren't many people who are legally blind or blind that you know of. So it is rare. There aren't many people out there. So I didn't know how to live a normal life with this. During the time in San Diego, there was a big news story. A plane had crashed, an F-18 crash landed and destroyed a couple houses. 4 people perished in this accident. It was a man's mother-in-law, his wife, and his only 2 children. While I was at my parents' house, I had the news on one day, and they held a press conference for the guy. And I remember him coming up and bawling his eyes out and saying, if anyone knows how to deal with this type of tragedy, please help me. And here I was, legally blind at 19 and thinking my life was horrible. And I thought, this guy just went through something so tough that I couldn't even imagine. And he's not complaining. He's not sulking. He says he's asking for help. And I thought from that day forward, I will have a positive attitude about my situation. I'll quit complaining about what I'm going through. He inspired me to have a better attitude about my situation. So since LHON currently has no treatment and no cure, I see that it has given me a purpose in life and shoes to fill, to do everything in my power to find a cure for LHON. So in the past 3 years, I actually started a bike ride with a buddy, a fundraising bike ride. Don't worry, I ride on the back of a tandem. It looks kind of weird, 2 guys on a bike like that, but it works out. But with the bike ride, it's called C.U.R.E, an acronym, Cycling Under Reduced Eyesight. And with that ride and other fundraising initiatives put on by my family, friends, and fraternity, we've helped to raise over $100,000 for LHON research in the past 3 years. And $100,000, it's not just a drop of water in a large bucket. It's doing a lot. My doctor tells me the more money that we're raising for LHON research, the sooner we'll find a cure. So we're changing the natural history of the disease. Growing up my entire life, I was an athlete. I loved sports. Absolutely loved them. My favorite sport growing up was golf. My dad works in the golf industry, so I was always around the game. And from the age of 12 till 17, I played every single Sunday with my dad. It was our bonding time. It was our ritual, something we got to do together. If he beat me one Sunday, the whole next week he'd give me a hard time. I beat him, he wouldn't stop hearing about it. But that's how we became so close. That's how we grew our bond from that. And I was devastated thinking that after losing my sight, I could never play golf again. One day, my mom, who's amazing, had done tons of research, and she came to me and said, Jeremy, there's such thing as the USBGA, the United States Blind Golf Association. I thought, Mom, come on, do they play at midnight? How do blind people play golf? I mean, come on, this can't be right. You must have seen something wrong. I wish I could have helped her see it, but no, I couldn't. But still, I didn't understand that there could be blind golf. And especially when I could see, my least favorite thing about golf were slow players. And I thought blind golf is the epitome of slow play. I mean, come on. I was very skeptical of blind golf. After a while, I thought about it and I said, we can give it a shot. And I found out with blind golf, obviously you can't drop a golfer off and say, Jeremy, go play golf, it'll be fun. I would be so lost. But I have a guide, and each blind golfer has a guide, someone who helps them on every single shot. And for me, that was an easy choice. My dad. My dad is my guide on all of my competitive rounds. In our first tournament, it was interesting. A lot of bickering back and forth. Because with blind golf, I see it as I have perks, believe it or not. If I had a good shot, it's all me. If I had a bad shot, it's my dad's fault. Come on, let's get that right. And that's how I see it, but he doesn't really see it that way. After the first tournament, we played in our second tournament in the national championships in 2009. And it was in San Antonio, Texas. And in the first round, let me explain to you, with blind golf, there are 3 different sight categories. There are B1s, who are totally blind. There are B2s, which is my sight category, which ranges from 20/600 vision all the way to totally blind. And then B3s, who are 20/200 vision, which is legal blindness, to 20/600. So in the first round of the national championships, I was paired with a B1, totally blind guy, John Casolo. We can show the picture. That's my buddy Johnny. How does he look? He looks good. Huh? So the first round, I'm playing with a B1, totally blind, and I think, oh gosh, here comes the slow play. We'll see what it's like. My dad and I finished the round, and we shoot a 97. The par is 72, normally is in golf, and the lowest score is the best. So I shot a 97, and I was mad. I was pissed. I was yelling at my dad. I said, we could have fixed this. He's saying, well, you hit the shots. It's your fault. And it was going back and forth. We finished the round, and we shot a 97. I was livid. And John Casolo here finishes the round, and he shoots a 324. A 324. I guarantee you, if you've never played golf in your life, I'll take you out tomorrow. I guarantee you beat a 324. But my man Johnny finished the round with a 324. I go to shake his hand, and I say, John, it was nice playing with you. And he said, Jeremy, I had a great day today. Thank you. I'm complaining about shooting a 97. I've got some vision. I'm giving my dad a hard time. John shoots a 324. He's totally blind, and he says he has the time of his life. That was a reality check for me. I realized not only in golf, but in life, I have to have a good attitude and enjoy my experiences like John Casolo did on the course while shooting a 324. The second round of the national championships, my dad and I shot an 88, shot 9 shots better, playing like John, smiling, having a good time, a little less bickering. And John actually shot a 154, cut his score in half. I want to know what he was doing the first round. How do you? He improved he cut it in half. I don't know how you do that. So my dad and I finished, and we finished tied for second, went to a playoff, lost in the playoff, finished third. But I took a lot out of that round with John. My dad and I were then invited to play in the World Blind Golf Championships in England in August 2010. I was 20 years old, and we went with the sole goal to have a good time like John Casolo. And there were 60 competitors from 14 different countries. And after the 2 rounds of the event, we finished, and we succeeded in our goal. We had a good time. We enjoyed our experience. We walked into the clubhouse, and someone grabbed me and said, Jeremy, you tied for the win. You're in a playoff. I thought, oh, okay. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to show you a video, but I'm going to set the scene first. In the playoff, I was paired with a man named Simon Cookson from England. He was more of a favorite, whereas I'm just a 20-year-old kid from California. And we were both short of the green and chipping our shots on. And in blind golf, what I do is I walk the amount of paces, yards, it is from the ball to the hole. And I vividly remember walking the 19 paces to the hole. And there's an audience behind the green wanting to see what happens. And since, I wanted to soak in the experience, I didn't know how many times I would be in the World Championships and actually in a playoff to win. As I grabbed the flag, I give a little wave to the crowd. I walk back, and what I also do is, my dad, for close approach shots, he'll stand in between myself and the hole. And I'll do practice swings lining up to his backside. Not a pretty sight even for me. I line up to him. I tell him he's good. He moves out of the way, and then I hit the shot. And this is what happened. You gotta soak it in. And you can. And you can cue the next picture, Lindsay. So after that chip in, that was the coolest experience of my entire life. Everything, right when that ball went in, everything after that was a blur. Well, pardon the pun, but it was. And not only did I win the World Blind Golf Championships, but I got to share the experience. And not only did we succeed in enjoying our experience there, we won. And in golf is an individual sport. If Phil Mickelson wins a tournament, it's congratulations, Phil, how does it feel? Oh, it feels great. But blind golf, it's a team sport. And I didn't win the World Blind Golf Championships. My dad and I did. We did together. And we get to say we're the world championship. We're the world champions. We'll be defending our title in Canada this July. So we're excited for that, but we're going in with the same goal as last time. We're going to have a good time. Since winning the Worlds, I've had incredible experiences, opportunities. I've been flown out to Japan and China to raise awareness of blind golf. I've been featured on MTV for a show called True Life, I'm Losing My Sight. And I'll be featured in a future episode on the Golf Channel for Golf in America. If you were to come to me today and say, right after my speech, and say, Jeremy, I have something that will give you your vision back. Do you want it? I would say, absolutely not. No, I don't. I'm happier without my sight, more so than I was 4 years ago when I had my sight, and that's because I don't take many things for granted anymore. I appreciate the things I do have. Because I've discovered that in life, there are obstacles. We all face them every day. It's inevitable. Some are minute. Some are so daunting we don't think we can overcome them. But it's how we approach these obstacles in life that determines who we are, determines our character, and determines our happiness. I went legally blind in a matter of 2 months at 19 years old, and I could easily still be at my parents' house sulking about my situation and complaining. But instead, I'm here with you tonight telling you my story to empower you. What have you discovered? And how will you face the obstacles in your life? Thank you.